In Cuba, municipal elections progressed normally. President Díaz-Canel highlighted the political stability of the nation. In Mexico, a demonstration called by President Andrés Manuel López Obrador leaves from the Angel of Independence to meet with the president on the occasion of his government's annual report. And in Italy, the government declared a state of emergency on the island of Ischia following a landslide resulting from heavy rains that left at least 5 people dead and dozens missing. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. Election day takes place on Sunday in Cuba. Citizens go to the polls to elect their representatives in the local government bodies. Polling stations open at 7 a.m. local time to receive citizens who were already lining up to vote from early hours, according to the National Electoral Council. For this day, authorities enabled 20,000 polling stations, which are expected to remain open until 6 p.m. local time. This is the first voting to take place after the restructuring of the electoral system in the country, which removed 85 constituencies. On Sunday, November 27, some 8 million Cubans will be able to elect 12,427 delegates to the municipal assemblies of People's Power through free, equal, direct, and secret vote. A total of 26,746 delegate candidates were nominated throughout the country. According to the National Electoral Council, around 70% of the candidates are members of the Cuban Communist Party or of the Union of Young Communists, while 44% are women and 17% of the total are young people. To be elected, a candidate must receive 50% plus one of the total votes and will serve for 5 years in a non-professional capacity, in line with the transformations introduced in the 2019 Constitution. Cuban President Miguel Díaz-Canel exercised his right to vote during the municipal elections the country holds this Sunday. The head of state cast his vote at around 8 a.m. local time at polling station number 3. The candidates with a direct and secret vote. Later, he gave declarations to the media and emphasized the importance of this election as sound evidence that the island maintains political stability, according to his words.
Ratified that Cuba maintains its political stability, maintains its social stability regardless of the intense economic battle with which they are trying to suffocate the population, so that because of discontent, hopelessness, the burden of all the shortages, citizens will yearn for social explosion that the imperialist government is after, which is to apply the imperialist logics against Cuba, and that this is reinforced with the campaign of this critic, especially in social networks and large media. The fact that we are doing this today shows that Cuba continues on its way. It follows an uninterrupted way.
The Cuban president also recalled the responsibility of citizens in this electoral process to improve socialist democracy in Cuba.
It is a civil responsibility because we are electing our representatives in the governmental bodies of the municipality, which is the main government structure we have in the country. This is very coherent with what we have been doing in recent years to improve socialist democracy within Commander-in-Chief's concept of popular power, and that we are increasingly articulating the mechanisms through which the people participate. Decisions are made on the basis of proposal, of the opinions, of popular debate. The government structures where the representatives of the people are, which are precisely the ones that we're electing today, address and approve the development programs based also on those priorities of the people. All that returns to the communities. The communities then participate, implementing what they themselves propose and have been approved by their representative bodies, and also participate in the popular control.
Cuba's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Bruno Rodriguez, stressed the importance of these elections, saying they are a civic expression in favor of furthering popular power, which is the power of the people.
It is a moment of unity, of civic involvement, an instance of true participatory democracy, as it was recently the case with the referendum on the Family Code. It is also a timely election because it allows an expression in favor of furthering popular power, which is the power of the people in favor of the country's institutions, of the socialist state of law and social justice.
Also, Cuba's Foreign Minister Bruno Rodriguez Barrilla made reference to the role of women play in everyday Cuban politics.
The National Assembly of People's Power, which ends its mandate in the next few months, is, I believe, the second in the world with more women among its deputies. To me, that is an expression of the natural, normal promotion of women in our country, of the exercise of their rights, considering they are already the majority of the skilled labor force in the country. And in the Chancellery, in particular, in foreign affairs, women play a very important role.
The president of the National Electoral Council, Alina Balseiro Gutierrez, urged the citizens to go to their polling stations in these municipal elections.
We celebrate these elections with a basic record of 8,351,311 voters, which is an important figure that all our people know. All the development of the process starts there, and of course it continues until we, the electoral body, deliver the conclusive voting percentage on the final day as usual. We are really very satisfied with the development of the process, of how it has started, how it has begun. We only want to encourage all our voters to go to their polling stations, where all the conditions are created so they can elect the delegate of their constituency.
The president of the National Electoral Council, Alina Balseiro Gutierrez, pointed out that although some incidents have been registered in some polling centers, the day is going on in a calm manner.
This election day, there have really been some delays. For example, some grammar school students remember that they are in school, but they have been released. We have some incidents here in the capital, Holguín, and the special municipality of Isla de la Juventud, Camagüey, but one or two schools. We're not talking about anything massive. We also had something very punctual in the municipality of Ibarra that at the moment of developing at 7 o'clock in the morning to start the whole electoral act, the electric power went out due to an interruption, but it was not an obstacle for not starting. The hymn was sung there as it was actually established by those present because almost everything was recorded.
Let us take a short break, but first remember you can follow us on TikTok at the account of teleSUR English, in which you will be able to see news in different formats, news updates, and much more. Other stories coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back from the South. In Mexico on Sunday, a demonstration called on by President Andrés Manuel López Obrador got underway prior to him presenting the State of the Nation report. López Obrador said that their demonstration is not in response to the call made by the opposition 2 weeks ago for a march in favor of the National Electoral Institute, but a celebration of his movement which has 70% of approval. The march kicked off at around 9 a.m. to be followed by López Obrador's speech at the Zócalo. Thousands of people from different states of the country began arriving in Mexico City Saturday afternoon to take part in this march. In Venezuela, a cultural initiative seeks to establish a new Guinness record on Sunday by registering the world's largest salsa rueda de casino in downtown Caracas. The leader of the event, Luis Llamo, assured local media that more than 2,000 dancers will be part of the staging. Llamo explained that the project Retomando el Son is dedicated to the study and promotion of this rhythm of Cuban origin, and the idea of the Guinness record aims to raise support to declare son as an intangible cultural heritage of humanity by UNESCO. The institution's data registered that more than 10,000 Venezuelans are currently in training as dancers of this Caribbean rhythm. In Colombia, FARC dissident armed groups handed over to the Ombudsman's office 18 prisoners belonging to different communities in the Tumacos region. According to Ombudsman Carlos Camargo, personnel from his office went into one of the most remote rural areas of the said municipality to facilitate the release of the prisoners being held by the Ivan Rios column belonging to the second Marquetalia faction of the FARC dissidents. Through a communique, the column of the dissidents confirmed the voluntary release of the prisoners and ratified their will for peace and respect for human rights, respecting the integrity and life of the prisoners. This release of war prisoners follows President Petro's call for a total peace process in the country. In the United States, at least one person was killed and 5 others were injured on Saturday night in a new shooting in the city of Atlanta. According to a police report, the incident took place next to a popular shopping mall in Atlanta, Georgia, when around 8 p.m. a dispute broke out between teenagers and young adults between 15 and 21 years old, which ended in armed violence. All this was after the group of young people were escorted off the Atlantic Station property by officers due to disruptive behaviors and curfew violations at the popular location. Police officers explained that the injured individuals were rushed to the hospital and are receiving medical attention. According to data from the independent organization Gun Violence Archive, this will be the 615th mass shooting so far in 2022. Thousands of far-right party supporters demonstrated on Sunday in several cities in Spain against the government of President Pedro Sánchez. According to local authorities, some 25,000 people gathered in Plaza de Colón, located in Madrid, to which they carried and hoisted a huge flag. The protesters expressed their opposition to policies and laws promoted by Sánchez's government. In declarations to the press, the president of Vox, Santiago Abascal, declared that since Pedro Sánchez got in office, sexual aggressions have doubled. Abascal also criticized a law against sexual violence that toughened the arsenal against rapes, but lowered the penalties for other kinds of sexual violence.
Right now we are ruled, among others, by separatist people. We are ruled by people who don't want to be Spanish. So this is the main reason to be here, and the country isn't doing well. We've got to be very careful about how we spend the money, and I think they are distributing it very badly indeed, in things that benefit them. In a way, they are buying votes.
We can't stand anymore what this government is doing. The laws they are approving, without the majority they need. Releasing terrorists from prison. They are releasing rapists.
Italian government declared a state of emergency on the island of Ischia after a landslide caused by heavy rains left at least 5 dead and a dozen missing. After a meeting of the emergency cabinet, the Minister of Civil Protection, Nello Musumeci, announced the state of emergency, after which the government released €2 million for recovery actions. Authorities confirmed that some 200 members of the civil protection and more than 100 volunteers are carrying out search and rescue works in the affected areas. Although official figures are not available, local media estimate that at least 160 people have been displaced from their homes. And we have more news coming up after a final short break, so don't go away. Welcome back from the south. Russia's prosecutor's office starts an investigation after a fire broke out on Sunday at one of the country's largest refineries. According to prosecutor's office, authorities of the Siberian province, no injuries were reported as a result of the fire, which spread over 250 square meters and affected the petrochemical plant. The fire was reported early Sunday morning by the governor of the province, Igor Kovtsev, and was located at an industrial site in the Russian city of Angarsk. The plant involved belongs to Ankara Petrochemicals, which is part of the Rosneft energy giant and is one of the country's 10 largest refineries with up to 9 million tons of crude oil processed every year. The government of Russia bets on dialogue to solve the disagreements with Turkey over Syria. During an interview to local media, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov admitted that there are disagreements between Russia and Turkey over Syria. He also stated that the level of relationship between Moscow and Ankara, as well as political wisdom, allowed to solve these differences not through confrontation but through negotiations. Tensions between Turkey and Syria rose after Ankara launched overnight between November 19th and the 20th a wave of airstrikes against shelters, bunkers and deposits of the Kurdish and Kurdish Iraqi militias near the Turkish border. The Somalian government confirmed that at least 100 members of the Al-Shabaab terrorist organization have been neutralized. Information Deputy Minister Al-Adala stressed that the operation preceded the attacks planned by the extremists. Also reported that the government's international partners participated in the deployment, in which they claim at least 10 leaders of the organization were killed. In recent months, terrorists have carried out violent attacks, killing over 200 people. Somalia government operation took place in Shebel and Hiran, in the center of the country. Costa Rica stunned Japan 1-0 thanks to a late goal at the World Cup on Sunday. Japan, who shocked four-time champion Germany 2-1 in their opener in Qatar, could have taken a giant stride towards the last 16 with a win. Instead, they labored for large parts of the match against a Costa Rica side who were hammered 7-0 by Spain. Then defender Keisher Fuller scored in the 81st minute with a deflected strike. It was Costa Rica's first shot on target at this World Cup. The Moroccans were victorious against Belgium in a great match that ended 2-0 in favor of the Africans in the second round of Group F. After 24 years without a victory in a World Cup, and they did it against one of the teams with conditions to win the trophy, ensuring a place in the fight for a seat in the round of 16. This time, the first goal was scored in the 73rd minute by Abdelhamid Sabiri after a free kick that did not have enough reaction from the Belgians. Then a second goal increased the score for the Moroccans at the hands of Zakaria Abouklal, who with the assistance of attacking midfielder Sajek scored another goal in the final moments of the match. Thus the Belgian team, which dominated the match in the first 20 minutes, was unable to overcome the fury of the Lions of Atlas. Croatia romped to a 4-1 win over Canada in Doha to knock Canada out of the World Cup. Alphonso Davies had given Canada a shock lead after just 68 seconds, but a brace from Andres Kramaric helped Croatia bounce back and go top of Group F ahead of their last pool stage match. Marko Livaja put the 2018 World Cup runners-up ahead of before just half-time. Second-half goals from Kramaric and Lovro Majer ensured Croatia could celebrate their first win of the tournament after a goalless draw with Morocco in their first match. And as the hearts of millions of fans live the emotions of the Qatar 2022 World Cup, teleSUR joins this sporting event with From the Field, a show that brings news, analysis, reviews, and more to our audience. Don't miss it. Our show airs at 1 p.m. local time in Caracas and 12 p.m. New York. Remember, From the Field, only on teleSUR. We have come to the end of this newsbrief. Remember, you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For teleSUR English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.